Do you want a simple way to memorize numbers 0 to 9 fast and vividly? Well, I'm about to show you a system that helps you to memorize these numbers in terms of evocative mental pictures. You'll discover the PEG method of memory, which is a technique that uses memorable words to stand in place of the numbers themselves. Hi, I'm Nick Mema from ImpressiveMemory.com, and this video is part 3 of the series of how to memorize numbers easily. You'll find links to the other videos on the blog or at the description box below. Without further ado, let's jump into today's video. So, what is the PEG method of memory? Well, it's a system that links words to numbers. There are two main types of the PEG method, namely the rhyming PEG system and the major method plus PEG method system. In this article, I'll focus more on the latter system, and honestly, it's the system I use to memorize numbers 0 to 9. I've linked an article to the first system on the blog, so be sure to check it out. With that said, let's get into it. In parts 1 and 2, we expanded on the major method of memory. Let's bring up the consonants that represent numbers 0 to 9. For number 0, we have 3 consonant letters and sounds. We have S, Z, or a soft C. For number 1, it's T or D. For number 2, it's N. For number 3, it's M. For 4, it's R. For 5, it's L. For 6, we have a choice of 4 consonant letters and sound. We have sh like shoe, ch like chi, j like jaw, or a soft G like generate or age. For number 7, we have 3 similar sounding consonant letters. We have k like weak, a hard G like go, or a hard C like cow. For number 8, we have 3 similar sounding consonant letters. We have f like beef, f like phone, or v like ivy, or vow. For number 9, we have 2 similar sounding consonant letters, P or B. For P, you can think of a P, and for B, you can think of the insect bee. So the major method helps us to come up with these consonants for each number, but they don't really mean anything by themselves. That's why we need the PEG method to come up with words for each number, and that's where the magic happens. Using the same consonants for each number, here's a sample PEG list you can use. But once you get the hang of it, I want you to come up with your own PEG list. So we have, for number 0, we have S and Z. For S, we have these 2 words like see or so. For Z, think of a zoo. For number 1, for T, you can use a toe or a tie for your words. And for D, you can use either die or die. For number 2, the consonant is N. So these are the words that you can use for number 2. Think of Noah, your friend, or the old man in the Bible. No or now. For number 3, you can use these 3 words. Ma, your mom. Mu, the sound a cow makes, or more. For number 4, you can use these 2 example words, ro or ray. For 5, the consonant is L, so these 2 words can be used to represent number 5, low or lay. For number 6, we have 4 consonant letters. For sh, you can think of a shoe or show. For ch, you can think of chi, the chi energy. For j, think of Joe or J, which is a bird, or a soft G like age or rage. For number 7, the consonant sound is k. So we have weak or wake for the letter K, a hard G like go or get. The hard G is prominent, or a soft C like cow or cook. But think of cow, because for number 7, we only want one single K sound. So we think of cow. For number 8, you can use the words phi for F, phi, which is a symbol, mathematical symbol for F, for PH, and for V, you can think of IV or vow. For number 9, finally, think of P, the fruit, or P, the vegetable, or P, the verb, and B. For the letter B, you can think of B or bow. As you can see, you can come up with as many words as you like, but that's not the point. The point is to create your own peg list from these consonants. I'll show you mine in a moment so that you can get creative and create yours. I've also talked about the rules of the major method in part 2 of the series. Please have a look at it to understand the concepts of when to use vowels, why we disregard silent letters, and why we focus more on the consonant sounds instead of the letters themselves. To go to part 2, click the link provided below this video. So this is what I always use to memorize numbers 0 to 9. Also, notice the crazy and silly imaginations I use to visualize these numbers. Your imagination is your most precious asset to build a powerful memory. This is how I use mine. For number 1, my word is toe, so I always imagine a huge ugly toe for number 1. For number 2, I use the word Noah, or rather the name Noah, and I picture an old Noah building the ark. For number 3, I use the word ma, so I visualize my mom always. For number 4, I use the word roho, which is a Swahili word for heart. I imagine myself holding a beating heart on my hands. For 5, I use the word loo, which is a slang word for toilet. And I picture a dirty toilet in my mind. For number 6, I use the word jaw, and I imagine myself having a very strong jaw, like a lion's jaw. For number 7, I use the word cow, so I picture myself milking a cow. For number 8, whenever I come across this number, I picture my friend called Ivy. And finally, for number 9, I imagine myself running away from an angry, stinging bee. So that's my list for number 0 to 9. Notice how I only use a single consonant letter to represent each number. For number 2, we have Noah, and there's a silent H, but it's irrelevant because it's silent. I talked about this in part 2 of this series. So notice the strong, prominent consonant sound for each number. And that's what I always use, and these words, to memorize numbers 0 to 9. And also, since I'm perfectly bilingual, I use the Swahili language to create a peg word for number 0, roho. It's Swahili for heart. So if English isn't your first or best language, by all means use yours. As long as those consonant letters and sounds exist in your language, personalize your peg list. Make your peg list for number 0 to 9 personal and memorable to you. To conclude, I hope you've seen how you can memorize numbers 0 to 9 fast. If I tell you the number 127, you can remember it this way. Imagine a huge ugly toe on Noah and he's milking a cow. Toe represents number 1, Noah represents number 2, and cow represents number 7. That is 127 when you combine all those numbers and images. I know it's a silly story to imagine, but that makes it more memorable in your mind. It's also funny when you think about it, right? So head over to the blog to learn more about using your imagination to train your memory. And to stay tuned, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.